A thread by Carlos Osuida. I've been about this a lot, and I finally figured out how to express what angers me so much. If anyone should be banned, it's leftist directors. I'm sick and tired of leftists lecturing us about war. I'll use Boardwalk Empire as my example. This is Richard Harrow. He's a facially disfigured veteran of World War I who is so traumatized by the war and his injuries that he becomes a ruthless hitman for a gang run by another traumatized war veteran, Jimmy. Jimmy died inside because of the war, so of course he's become a mobster. The message of the series is that war is so terrible that it creates murderous killers who aren't responsible for their own actions. Richard feels nothing, as he explains to Jimmy's wife. The character is written as a total mess, meaning neither the writer nor the actor know anything about the subject. Richard feels nothing. Then he falls in love with a beautiful woman who has a small son named Tommy. No explanation is given for why Richard can't, and then suddenly can, feel love. He decides to give up his life of murdering people, but then little Tommy is kidnapped. So Richard, a sniper in World War I, goes in and saves him. The problem is that everyone just stands there allowing him to gun them down. The whole thing is ridiculous. Now, I'm actually glad that people don't know what it's really like to kill and to lose your humanity due to trauma, but it should be explained. Here's how it works. Predispositions. It's almost certain that genetic predispositions don't exist. All predispositions are instilled. Nobody has been able to prove that a person is born to commit murder. And it's not a coincidence that psychopathy, antisocial disorder, and other mental conditions don't spring out of nowhere. If there are bad seeds, there are so few of them that they may as well not exist. So you come out of your childhood with predispositions. The thing that determines how damaged you'll be by trauma, earlier or later, is inborn. This is your temperament. Two people can endure exactly the same trauma and react to it entirely differently based on their individual temperaments. The final factor is choice. Even if you are predisposed to commit murder due to early trauma, you have to choose to do it. And that's why the leftist war creates monsters trope is hogwash. People choose to be monsters. They deserve no sympathy. I'm unable to experience romantic love. I'm ruined that way. There's no angel who will save me with her angelic healing presence. That's not how it works. Some damage is simply too great to overcome. Period. So then what? Well, you could choose to take it out on the world, or you could choose to live by Hippocrates' maxim. First, do no harm. It's from Of the Epidemics. I watched a long interview with somebody, maybe the creator, writer of the show. It was just an endless lecture. He said at one point that we're all capable of being monsters. No, we're not. That's a lie. Leftism is about removing all consequences from all actions. Someone else is always to blame. One of the most misunderstood writers of all time is the German Ernst Junger. He was a trench raider in World War I, and he was one of only 11 infantry company commanders to win the Blue Max Medal, shown here under his collar. Junger wrote extensively about war, but neither positively nor negatively. He was simply a chronicler. His politics can't be defined, except that he was violently anti-Nazi. He served in World War II as an intelligence officer in Paris. In Paris, Junger partied with Picasso and Jean Cocteau, and he warned Jewish people of upcoming raids. He refused to talk about how many people he saved. Junger was also involved in the Stauffenberg plot to assassinate Hitler, but he was simply discharged from the army. There's evidence that Junger threw away intelligence on the D-Day invasion, and as early as 1943, he was trying to contact the Allies to figure out how to end the war. So here, you have an aristocrat hospitalized 7 times for war wounds, yet he saved Jewish people and tried to kill Hitler. Nobody knew what motivated him, and he refused to say. He was indifferent to opinions of him, and he lived to be 103. Leftists hate him. Everything comes down to choice, free will. The main toxin of leftism is that nobody should be punished for anything except incorrect thinking. And for that, you should die. Nice. I'll admit that my own personal experiences make me an unreliable reviewer of movies that deal with certain subjects. I'm not saying that others shouldn't enjoy things that I think are worthless dreck, but it's time that we all junk the war makes men monsters trope. Monsters make themselves. Scorsese's The Irishman says the same thing. The army taught Frank Sheeran how to murder, so he simply went on and used his training in civilian life. It's our fault. Well, Sheeran was a con man. He lied about virtually everything he claimed to have done. I don't plan to see The Irishman. Scorsese can thank Robert De Niro's big, fat mouth. But even if De Niro hadn't made himself unwatchable, I wouldn't be interested. Oh, gee, I shouldn't have been a contract killer. Now I'm all sad and lonely. Fascinating. I want a dark comedy about somebody like me. Have the PTSD guy say to the angelic woman, "What the hell are you doing? Did you ignore what I just told you?" See, the argument is always, "You just haven't met the right person." No. I attract predators. Even now, I get hit on all the time through email, and I can tell instantly what's up. I learned the hard way that this is a hunt. I'm the prey. The best hunters are patient because the payoff is worth it. Sharon Stone goaded a guy into divorcing his wife and going into debt forever to buy them a mansion. Then she dumped him. But Cher holds the record. She got Gene Simmons to buy an entire floor of a Fifth Avenue apartment building and knock out all the walls to make it one big room. After she'd had him pay for her to furnish it, she dumped him. He was left with a white elephant. He would have had to ask for $200 million. So he paid to build all the apartments and then sold them one at a time at a massive loss. Those are the type of women who seek me out. At least now I know it, so I don't fall prey. The last time was in the year 2000. She was the worst, the most hate-filled and vicious. Leftism is childish. Make a movie about a disfigured war veteran with PTSD who thinks it's funny. Let's see you punks take on that. I won't hold my breath.